Hi, I'm Jeff Holden. Welcome to the Nonprofit Podcast Network. Our purpose and passion is to highlight a nonprofit organization in each weekly episode, giving that organization an opportunity to tell their story in their words to better inform and educate the respective communities they serve, as well as provide one more tool for them to share their message to constituents and donors. Our goal is to help build stronger communities through shared voices and to both encourage and support the growth of local nonprofit organizations through podcasting. Thanks to our founding partners for their foresight in helping us transform the way conversations start. Cap Trust, fiduciary advice for endowments and foundations. Runyon Saltzman Incorporated, RSE, marketing, advertising, and public relations creating integrated communications committed to improving lives. And Western Health Advantage, a full-service healthcare plan for individuals, employer groups, and families. We all know, and in most cases fear, the C word, cancer. It's never a diagnosis any of us want to hear. Nearly everyone has been touched in some way by the disease, either self, family, or friends. But what about the family and caregivers surrounding one who suffers the disease? Their lives have been changed dramatically as well, and helping them with some respite is what our guests today do. How the Me One organization came to be is incredibly unique, and we're going to hear about that. But the story of their passionate volunteer camp director is every bit as amazing. Listen closely as Erica Pope, Executive Director of Me One, and John Burke, Camp Director for the organization, share the story of how Me One has built Camp Wieser into a highly demanded and completely booked out event for cancer patients and their families each year. What a blessing they're providing. Erica Pope, John Burke, welcome to the Nonprofit Podcast Network. So John, Erica, welcome to the Nonprofit Podcast Network.
Thanks
so
so
much for having us.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you. We have not had a cancer-oriented program on the show yet. So This is going to be a great conversation. You know, most, if not all of those listening have directly been affected by cancer in their lives. You know, whether it's a family member, a friend, a neighbor, we've all seen it in some way, shape, or form. And in some cases, we've seen the challenges of daily living, what the victim is faced with and its impact on those around them. The Me One Foundation began in 2007, I believe.
2007, 2008 is when
Okay.
Heidi Wieser first started having the dream of starting a nonprofit foundation that would then fund a weekend escape for cancer patients to get away from the everyday routine of fighting cancer, and just be able to go and just have a great weekend with their family, forgetting about cancer for the weekend, and just really bringing in all those memories that they could share with their family.
Tell me how the journey started. You know, Heidi's journey to get to the point of this weekend escape.
Her husband, Tom Wieser, he was diagnosed with colorectal cancer back into I believe it was 2007. And his family was invited to a camp down in Southern California, very similar to the one that we do today here in Northern California. And when they came home, they were super excited. They had an amazing time, amazing weekend, being able to share experiences with other cancer patients. And so they said, you know, there's plenty of people here in Northern California who really need this camp. And that's when they had the dream of starting the Me One Foundation and being able to provide this camp that we do today.
Okay, so I know already people are going, Me One, I don't get it. How does that translate? Is that a cancer phrase of some sort? Explain Me One.
It's more of a sports phrase. When Tom and Heidi, they were in the thick of it, right? Their own cancer journey. And literally, this nonprofit was started around a kitchen table. They had 4 young kids at the time. And Tom was very involved with kids' sports and was a coach, sports enthusiast. So our tagline, Keeping Life Scoreboard at Cancer Zero, Me One. So that's how the Me One Foundation was founded.
I love the analogy. Was anybody like a tennis player or something?
Baseball, actually.
was it
Yeah,
baseball?
big baseball family. Yeah.
Okay. How did the organization determine Northern California and even where in Northern California?
That has changed over the years. We're basically a Roseville-based nonprofit organization. That's where Tom and Heidi lived at the time of starting the foundation. And they just drew in a lot of their friends that had either been parents of some of the kids that were on the teams that Tom was coaching, or that had some association with the Wieser family in one way, shape, or form. They are the ones who gathered around the table and started to dream with Heidi and Tom about starting this foundation and starting the camp. So it all started in Roseville. But then it's expanded with time. And the whole idea was that in Northern California alone, there's thousands of people diagnosed with cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And so because of that, there's a huge, draw for this camp. And so they decided, since there's one in Southern California, they wanted to be the Northern California option of the camp.
And really, over the United States, there's not a whole lot of nonprofits that focus on the adult cancer patient and their family. We're really one of very few. So one in Southern California, and then us here up here.
How did they determine the camp? Where is the camp?
Well, the camp started, they were afforded the opportunity to have the camp donated to them basically for the very first camp. And so they went where the money was free. And so
Sure.
they started in Livermore. I can't remember the name of the camp, but Heidi invited us as a family to come to the very first Camp Wieser. At the time, it was called Camp Challenge. We changed it at our 10-year anniversary and then changed the name to Camp Wieser to honor Tom, because he ended up losing his life from his cancer battle.
Mm-hmm.
And we wanted to honor the family who started this foundation. And so that's why it's changed to Camp Wieser. But it started in Livermore, and from there it's just grown. And we've tried to find places, camps that would offer our campers more amenities, such as today, every camper who comes to camp, each family gets their own room with their own bathroom, their own shower. When it very first started, we were at like kids camps, and kids camps, generally speaking, they put as many people in a room as they possibly can. They have shared bathrooms. That's not really conducive to the cancer patients. I mean, myself, I had been going through pancreatic cancer. And so let's just say I feel bad for my wife that she has to live with me, because I don't always make the room smell the best. So to have to share that restroom with other campers it's very uncomfortable. And so the very first thing I did when I became camp director is find a new location that would offer those amenities, having private rooms that can be locked, rooms that have their own bathroom and their own shower. And so, especially the cancer patient doesn't necessarily always have the energy to go out and do all the fun things that we have to offer, but at least they know that they can send their family out and the family can have a great time while they rest in their room. So that's important.
And where we host Camp Wieser each year, it's really the only location that we have found that can house all of the families that we bring together and the volunteers. So we have, over 300 people on campus during this weekend. So that's a lot of people and a lot of moving parts. And they're really the only facility that we have found that can accommodate our needs.
So you have now a fixed place, a fixed location that you've been using for several years or many years?
Yes.
Yes, I think we were on year 15.
Our
Minus
16th year of camp.
Right.
And I'm not sure how many years we've been at Mission Springs, but probably a good 10 years.
Yeah, I want to say it was 2010. 2010 was our first camp at Mission Springs.
Where is that?
Mission Springs is located just outside of Santa Cruz in the Santa Cruz Mountains in Scotts Valley, California.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I was just going to say, for the benefit of anybody that's not been there, that area is spectacular.
Oh, it's magical.
Amazingly gorgeous.
Yeah.
Every time we go and I drive over the bridge to get to camp, it's like all the weight of the world just falls off of my shoulders. It's gorgeous. It's everything you could hope for.
Who's eligible to apply for the program?
Cancer patients that are in active treatment is who we're looking for. You need to be an adult, age 18 or above. And then we invite you to invite up to 5 family members or friends. Family is whatever family is to you. It's not necessarily blood family. It can be 5 supporters in a cancer care group that you might have. So we consider family anyone that's supporting you through your cancer battle.
And as I understand, the camp isn't just a camp for the cancer patient, it's for everybody. And
Absolutely.
so all the daily trials and tribulations of being a cancer victim who is in treatment are kind of relieved of everybody else while they're at the camp, correct?
Right, right. And that's just the thing. When someone's diagnosed with cancer, it's not just the cancer patient who has the weight of the world on their shoulders, right? It's spouses, children, siblings, best friends. Everyone carries the burden, if you will.
Yeah.
So the camp really is designed not only for the adult cancer patient, but that support system. And like John said, it doesn't have to be necessarily your immediate family. It's whoever is part of your support system on that cancer journey.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, as a patient myself who was invited to come to camp, at the time, right before I went in for my surgery at UC Davis, I had to sit down, as my doctor suggested, sit down my girls and tell them, Daddy's going to go in for the surgery. And I'm hoping that I come home and continue to be with you girls. However, there's a chance that I'm not going to. And so I basically had to tell them there's a chance that Dad might be headed to heaven. And I mean, that was rough. I mean, from the time that I told them that, every time they looked at me, they just started to cry. And so we were able to go to this camp where they got to meet other little boys and little girls who had mom or dad there with cancer. And they were able to see that they were not alone, that there are other people who are going through the same thing, who truly understand what they're going through, that they could talk with. And they met people and they kept their addresses, and they would write each other. They would call each other in times of, when they were scared about what I was going through. They would call their friends who truly got it. And it was nice to see that, seeing my girls with smiles on their faces, and they were bouncing in bounce houses. They were getting their faces painted. They were going down zip lines. They were doing so much and just being kids again. And that was something that they weren't able to do when I was first diagnosed.
With mom and dad and immediate family and or caregivers with them, people that they're familiar with, seeing all of them relieve a little bit. I'm sure that's a real blessing for everybody, just to know that, okay, we can. And we got somebody who we know that our loved one's in good hands, giving us that break.
Right. Each family has a family host, and that family host is responsible for making sure that they get to the appointments that they have. Basically, we're a camp that we try not to say no. So if there's something that they need, if we need to run into town to grab something that they forgot, we will go do that. If the mom and dad just want some time alone, the family host will take their kids and take them on the zip line or do something fun with them while mom and dad have some time alone. And so it all varies just by what the campers need.
I'm going to point a question to you, John, because we didn't address it, but you've mentioned it a couple of times. Camp director, what is your situation? What engaged you in Me One to the extent that you are?
Well, in 2006, I was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. We were getting ready to go on a vacation to Walt Disney World, and I was experiencing some very, very serious abdominal pains. And my wife was like, "You need to get yourself to the doctor and get this figured out before we go. Otherwise, your vacation's going to be miserable." And so reluctantly, I went to the doctor, and we started running tests. While we were gone on vacation, the test results came in, and once we got home from vacation, we found out that I was stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and my doctor told me that he was going to suggest that I head to hospice because there was really nothing more that they could do for me at that point. And my wife and I did not take that as the final answer. We researched on the internet, on the pancreatic cancer website, as far as what to do, and they suggested finding a pancreatic cancer specialist and going and seeing them, and we did. Um, the pancreatic cancer specialists at UC Davis said, do not rely on anyone telling you how long you have to live. They don't have a clue how long you have to live, and drew out what's called the Whipple procedure, which is it's probably the most extreme procedure they do at UC Davis. I mean, so much so that when nurses would hear that I was having the Whipple procedure done, or their interns were hearing that I was having that done, they're like, "Oh, I got to find out when. I want to be there for it."
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically a 12-hour procedure, or at least it was back when I had it in 2006. And they take out intestines, they take out half your stomach, they take out as much of the pancreas as necessary. In my case, that was all of it. And, you're in recovery for a decent amount of time as well. And it was while I was in recovery that one of my nurses was named Heidi Wieser. And she told me about her dream of starting this nonprofit foundation and doing this camp for adult cancer patients and their families to get away from their cancer battle and to come and have a great weekend. And so I told her, I'm like, Heidi, I need to come and I need to help you start this camp. I'd done events for Disney for 7 years. I did events for other companies as well prior to that. So I was like, this just all makes sense how it's all lining up. And so Heidi's like, no, you need to come as a camper and experience it as a camper. You and your family need this experience. And so I reluctantly said, okay. And so we came to camp.
You get 1 year.
And yeah,
on the camp.
exactly. And had an amazing, I mean, again, to be able to see my daughters just laughing and playing and having such a great time at camp, it was life-changing for our family. I mean, it truly did change our lives, and especially in my children's lives. And again, they were able to just be kids, and that was so huge.
Well, and the rest they say is history. You've been engaged in the
is
camps
history. Yes.
since.
I gave Heidi that year, and we went back as volunteers in disguise as campers, as she said. And then I finally said, okay, that's it. I'm coming back and I'm helping out one way or another. And so I ended up becoming the camp director, moving us to where we're at now, Mission Springs, and basically being the voice of the camper, you know, being that I've been in their shoes and I'm in their shoes. I know what's important to the campers. And so, you know, we've kind of based what we're doing at camp around that.
And I just can't help but stress again, this was in 2006. It's 2017. And you are still camp director. You're still here telling the stories for anybody that's listening that may have lost some hope, to not give up. There's a lot going on. I know your faith is a big part of everything.
Absolutely.
And you know, to have a belief that you're going to be here is important.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the most amazing thing about Camp Wieser and about the Me One Foundation, number one, I have friends that I would not have had otherwise.
Yeah.
But number two, God has been able to use something so horrible as cancer. And I mean, there are days it's horrible. I mean, there are weeks that it's horrible. You know, financially speaking, it's detrimental onto the family. But to be able to take that and then turn it into something amazing. I mean, I leave camp every year and I'm just amazed by what God has done in the time there. We're a secular organization. We don't have any religious focus.
But there's nothing wrong with individuals having their own faith, whatever that faith may be.
Right.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I just, for myself, that's how I come at it. And everyone has their own reason why they're at camp and why they're volunteering and why they want to give back to, you know, these people who are going through such a horrible disease. But, you know, for me, that's how I just find it as being amazing that I'm able to take something horrible and turn it into something to help others.
Truly the lemons to lemonades.
Correct.
The story.
Absolutely.
You said there's one in Southern California. You guys are here in Northern California. How many people can you accommodate at the camp?
We host 35 families
35,
each year.
35 families?
35 families. So six members in each family.
I was just going to say, doing the math on that, it's almost a couple hundred people.
Yeah.
Plus all the volunteers.
Correct.
And the organization of it all. And you're responsible for all of that.
Yeah, no pressure, John.
Yeah, it's a lot, but it's great. I mean, I've surrounded myself with such great people. Erica is one of them, but there are so many of us who are truly passionate about just making sure that this camp is something that these families will never, ever forget. And the greatest thing is I get to often hand our campers who were once in a light blue shirt, a dark blue shirt, which is our volunteer shirt, and to be able to hand them that shirt and say, you're now on this side of it. And, you know, we're still here to support you. It's amazing. And they make the most amazing hosts that there are because they've been through it. So they know what these people are going through, and they know how to truly make sure that they have a great time while they're there.
I think this year, did we have, I want to say 6 people that were hosts that were previous campers at least.
Yeah.
And more in other roles. But we always have return campers who come the next year and for many years after.
That's
who are
wonderful.
come back to volunteer.
Yeah, that is wonderful. Are there other examples of this across the country?
We are very, very unique. No.
It seems like it.
Yeah,
we're very unique. It seems
unique.
like what a great program. Why are there not more of them? But
well, Yeah, with the right
Funny you
amount of
should
money,
ask.
we
Yeah.
can
Right.
definitely do that.
Yeah.
Scale.
We could model this in
Oh,
a few
we got a question
places.
coming up on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
We got a question coming up on that. How do you collaborate with other people in the greater region or Sacramento or just even your specific area? Because I know you don't just silo. Who do you work with? Who is influential into support and vice versa, you supporting outward?
Yeah, a lot of our referrals, our camper referrals come from word of mouth. So people who have either been to camp and volunteered or have been there with their family.
Mhm.
We work closely with all the local oncology centers. We have a board member who does all the outreach to different cancer centers and support groups. And then we work with our local hospitals. We also partner with other cancer organizations. One is the Placer Breast Cancer Foundation. Their focus is breast cancer, where it doesn't matter what type of cancer you have, right, as long as you're an adult. And then also Wellness Within is another organization that's local that provides support and different services for adult cancer patients. So that's kind of how we partner with the community, but really it is word of mouth.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're on different websites. If you research, cancer support, will pop up. You'll find us. In fact, I had a friend in Michigan who looked up oncology support, and she's like, "Erica, I found your name somewhere." So yeah, you'll find us if you search a little bit.
And I can only imagine the social sharing from people who have been through the camps.
Yeah, we have campers every single year that are not from Northern California. They're coming from Texas, they're coming from Colorado. We've had people come all the way from across the United States
Yeah,
to be at
Vermont.
camp.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's interesting too, because I want to address it's not just Northern California or the greater Sacramento region. You're based here, but literally anybody from anywhere in the country that meets qualifications can come to the camp.
That's
Absolutely.
correct. Yeah.
We do most of our recruiting of the campers from the Northern California oncology centers. And so I'd say at least 80 to 90% are from Northern California,
Mhm.
but we always get those who are doing their own research on the web. And now, it's so easy to do that, right? So they're able to actually find the Me1 Foundation's website when they pop in cancer and support, and they can find our camp that
Boy,
way.
one sure hopes with the technological advances that we've got, as things become more and more easy to share, they see this, it starts popping up more often. And somebody says, well, that's way out in Northern California. Why don't we do one here or here or here? Reach out to you to get the protocol and how you're
Yes.
doing it. You
Yeah.
you get a fee for that particular service to help fund what you do and do more of it.
The need is definitely there. I
Oh,
mean, we
well, it's so
unfortunately,
inevitable.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah, we could fill a camp every weekend and then some.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
We're just knowing the proliferation of cancer, and
Yeah.
as much as we've gotten to cures and minimization of so much of it, there's just so many more people getting it.
Right, and
And
Right.
like you said in the beginning, everybody's affected by it. I know when I speak to groups, one of my first questions is raise your hand if you've ever known anyone with cancer, right? Keep it
every
raised.
hand.
Yeah, every hand. And then keep your hand raised if you know somebody today who is on a cancer journey. And most of those hands stay up.
Hmm. Yeah, I can easily see that.
Yeah.
Sadly so,
Yes.
because you would think we'd have so many more advances, and it seems just different types keep popping up. And
Yeah.
then again, there's so many factors that not that we could spend another show on just that,
For sure.
and
Yes.
causes. But yeah, it's so prolific.
Hmm.
Give me a couple of stories of campers, if you would, of people who have been through.
Well, I've actually got an email that we just received that I think this story right here, this is why I do what I do.
And we're just coming off of Camp Wieser
Yeah, we're what, 2
a
weeks
couple
2
weeks
weeks
out?
out.
ago.
Yeah,
2
yeah.
weeks out.
And does it always take place late August, early September?
It's always in September. It's
September, okay.
second weekend of September is
Okay.
our slot at Mission Springs. But this camper writes, Camp Wieser was unlike anything I've ever been a part of. The impact it left on me is something I'll carry with me for a long time. From the moment my family and I arrived, I could feel a sense of community and understanding that is so rare to find. Meeting others who are walking similar paths, hearing their stories of strength, struggle, and resilience was deeply moving. Each conversation reminded me that while our journeys may be different, the bond we share is profound. There were so many emotions, both heartbreaking and uplifting, but through it all, I felt an overwhelming sense of love and kindness from everyone involved. The activities throughout the weekend were not only fun and engaging, but also designed to nurture the mind, body, and spirit. Whether we were getting to know our amazing host, Melissa, exploring a new creative outlet like Zentangle, or pushing myself to try something new like ziplining and square dancing, each moment allowed us to connect in a way that went beyond words. I felt like I was a part of something bigger, surrounded by people who truly understood, which brought immense comfort. More than anything, this weekend gave me hope. Hope not just for myself, but for everyone facing cancer. It's an experience that has reshaped how I view my journey and reminded me that I'm not alone in this fight. I left camp with a full heart, new friendships, and a renewed sense of strength.
That's beautiful.
And that is why we do what we
Yeah.
do.
That's wonderful. And I would imagine the tactile nature of it all. You can go on a Facebook group, or you can do Zoom calls, and you can have your discussions and your group meetings and all that with other people who have similar situations. But there's nothing the same as meeting them in person,
Right.
and the engagement in those relationships that will continue for life. In most cases, I would imagine, both for the person experiencing cancer as well as everybody in the immediate caregiving group.
Yeah, there's so much power in breaking bread together and sitting down for a meal and getting to know other cancer patients and getting to see their experience and what they're going through, and just being able to connect on them or connect with them in such a different way. And it's very powerful. I do at my best throughout the weekend to sit down with different families and get to know them. And I see the campers also doing the same thing, sitting down with new campers that they haven't met yet, and truly being able to understand and realize that they are not alone in this journey.
Isn't it amazing what's the word I want to use? The dissolution of socioeconomic age, race, gender. It's gone when you're all discussing
Yes.
an ailment
Yes, it
Absolutely.
that
is.
is
Yeah.
life-threatening.
Yep,
You look at that person as somebody the same as you. And
absolutely.
Cancer doesn't choose.
It's
Cancer knows no boundaries, right?
no discrimination.
Nope, no discrimination.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Camp Wieser really does bring a lot of very different people together, and they become lifelong friends, and it really is a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yeah, two people you would look on the street and go, "That's never going to happen."
Oh yeah, right,
Absolutely.
right.
And
Yeah.
here they are.
Yeah.
And we've
They're-
seen
every year so matches that you would never pick,
Right.
but
I would
they are
imagine you guys
best
get
friends.
you get to
Oh, we
stand
love
back
it.
and start to predict
Yes.
what this is going
Right.
to look like.
We love
Have
it.
some fun with it.
Yeah,
That's
the
absolutely.
embraces on the last day when people, go their separate ways and head home, and just watching, the two people who you think, oh my gosh, two very, very different people who have really come together and formed a bond that they'll
Right.
take with them forever.
Yeah.
Every year I look so forward to camp for many reasons, obviously, but one reason is because this has become a family.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's campers that come back as volunteers. There's volunteers who have been there since I was a camper myself. And so to be able to see them each year and to be able to just reconnect with them and find out what's going on in your life now, and is everything okay, and just to be able to relate to them and to talk with them it's incredible.
Yeah, we had one volunteer this year who says, she's back at camp again and seeing all her camp best friends. She's like, it's just like a real summer camp. You go back and you see these people who really, truly become part of your family for that weekend.
And for the volunteers, it's something they're giving back too. So there's a really good feeling about it all. I'm sure you're exhausted at the end of it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yes.
I
But
can
I
only
mean,
imagine.
exhausted just physically, emotionally,
Yes.
but also at the same time, re-energized, right? And just how do we keep going? Like, we just live on this high for a couple of weeks, and it's like, okay, what else can we do? How many more camps can we host? And it's beautiful. It really,
Yeah.
really is. And the volunteers, they leave thanking everyone. Thank you for letting me be here. It fills their cups. So not only are we providing an opportunity for these adult cancer patients and their loved ones, but also for all of these volunteers to be part of something bigger than themselves.
Mhm.
Yeah, we have volunteers who they came with their spouse who was the cancer patient,
Mhm.
and their spouse has unfortunately passed from their illness, but yet they come back year after year after year to be able to honor their spouse or their mom or dad and serve as a volunteer at camp. So that's very touching and
Yeah.
awesome to see that, we've made such an impact on their lives.
We'll be back with more from John and Erica with the Me One organization right after these messages from the folks helping make the program possible. I was in the media business for over 35 years and had the great privilege of working with Runyon Saltzman, RSE, Marketing, Advertising, and Public Relations. We collaborated on many different campaigns, but their commitment to the nonprofit sector hasn't changed since their founder, Gene Runyon, started the agency. Over many years and many campaigns, Runyon Saltzman has been committed to improving lives by tackling California's most challenging issues. Guided by research-informed strategies and insightful, creative solutions, RSE develops innovative communications campaigns that raise awareness, educate, and reduce stigma in diverse communities throughout our state and beyond. To learn more about RSE, visit rs-e.com.
Hello, this is Scott Thomas with Cap Trust in our Sacramento office. I specialize in working with local nonprofits and associations. Annually, we survey private and public nonprofit organizations across the country to better understand challenges they see in today's environment. In our more recent survey, we heard concerns about proper board governance, mission-aligned investment, and how to implement alternative investments. If you would like a copy of the survey or to discuss your organization, look me up, Scott Thomas at captrust.com.
I'm thrilled to have Western Health Advantage partnering with us as they do so much to support so many nonprofit agencies in our community. As a truly local health plan, you'll find individual and family options, employer options, plans for CalPERS and Medicare Advantage. From medical services to pharmacy, health and wellness support, as well as behavioral health care, Western Health Advantage has a plan that fits what you need. As an employer, for profit or nonprofit business, individual or family, you can find more at westernhealth.com. How is the organization funded?
100% through individual donations.
All individual, no grants, nothing?
No, let me back up a little bit. Yes, grants. We do apply for grants, but no federal funding.
Okay.
So we do apply for any grant we can get our hold on, ourselves in the bucket for, we will apply for. But other than that, it is all individual donations and then sponsorships. We hold a big fundraiser at the end of the year that's coming up in December, and we raise a lot of money. And that event, we put a lot on its shoulders to help us fund camp the next year.
Yeah, we rely on that fundraiser to fund camp, along with all the individuals who also give. A lot of high schools will do a fundraiser to help us to be able to get a family to camp. And so they'll do, maybe $500, maybe $700, but every penny adds up. So
maybe $3,500.
Right.
They do a great job. They really do.
So for the families, if I recall from a prior conversation, everything's covered.
Everything.
Yes.
Including transportation?
Not transportation.
Okay.
They have to get themselves to and from camp.
Okay.
Yeah.
But other than that, once they cross the bridge to
There's
camp,
nothing.
they pay
There's
for
nothing,
not a
yeah.
single thing.
We've even gone, like John says, we don't like to say no. We've even gone to the store to pick up shoes, special snacks. I mean,
Somebody forgot something.
if somebody
needs it.
forgot something, we've got you covered for the most part,
Yes.
right? But yeah, we really just want to make sure that experience there at camp is life-changing for them.
And how about people in the organization? Is it all volunteer?
Yeah, our program itself, Camp Wieser, is 100% volunteer driven.
Okay.
Yeah.
Including the management of everything for Me One?
Our board members are all volunteer. We do contract with professionals to help us fundraise, do social media, that sort of
Got
thing.
it.
But yeah, the camp itself, it is 100% volunteer driven.
That's amazing.
John has a day job. Yeah.
I know we were talking about that
Yeah.
before you got here.
Yeah.
I do, which might be a little ignored during the weeks prior to camp, but
A little is an understatement, I think.
I say now they probably got it figured out that this is what happens every September. We're going to lose John for a couple of days.
Yeah, it's amazing, and the support that I get from my company is amazing as well. So,
well, let's do a shout out because you've been with them for, did you say?
Just over 20 years.
Yeah, okay. And it's who?
Mohawk Industries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The carpet guys.
The carpet guys, the flooring guys. Yeah, we do it. Anything that goes on the floor, we sell.
And that's a testament to an organization too, just a company that allows you to do what you need to do, and they understand it. They've been with you through this whole journey.
They have, and they've been amazing through it all. I mean, the HR director calls me at least once a quarter just to see how I'm doing and making sure that I have everything that I need to get me through this journey and also do my job successfully as well. So
that's great.
It's been an incredible time. It's a company that I would never, ever leave, no matter what the offer, because they've been there for me and I will continue to be there for them.
Yeah. I
love that.
Yeah. If only more companies were like that.
Right.
Yeah. There are some pretty amazing ones out there who do
Yes,
support
there are.
us. And it's you can tell when it's more than just, marketing dollars. It's really their philanthropic efforts, and they want to be part of the community and part of giving back.
Here's a fun question. If money were no object,
I love these
what
questions.
would it look like? What would the organization look like?
I think, first of all, we would have our own camp. Because as much as we love Mission Springs also does plenty of other camps as well. And that's the purpose of why they're in existence. However, it would be great to be able to have our own facility where we could then model it exactly how we would like it for it to be. Again, Mission Springs has a lot of great things that we do love about it, but to be able to do
challenges,
right, it does
as
come
any
with
place.
challenges, absolutely. But it's to be able to have our own facility would then enable us to have more camps, right? I mean, to be able to offer this camp at least once a month would be amazing, because we're talking about cancer patients. So right now, if someone came to me and said, "Oh my gosh, I just saw your video. That's amazing. How do I sign up?" And we
You've
say,
got camp next
"Oh,
month. Wouldn't that be great?
Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah.
We've got camp now next
Yeah.
year in September." Well, these people might have been told that they have 3 months to live.
And
Or-
I literally just encountered this. I had a phone call the week after we got back from camp and said, "Erica, I met you. You told me about what you did, and I have just been diagnosed with cancer. Sadly, it's terminal, and right now I'm 1 to 4 months no treatment, 9 months with treatment. When is your next camp?" And I had to tell this person that it's next year. It's in September. So at the same time, I want to share John's words of
To give them some hope.
don't let anybody give you a timeline, right?
Yeah.
You do what is best for you and your family. But how amazing would it have been for me to say next month?
Right.
Yeah, next
we're
month
here. We got you.
we can take you and your entire family and give you a weekend to just relax and forget about cancer.
Right.
Leave all the treatments and the worry at your doorstep. Come to Camp Wieser and just have fun and make some memories with the people you love most and meet new friends.
And fun is defined by them. It's not defined by us. We offer so much to do that literally, if you tried to do everything,
You couldn't.
You wouldn't be able to do it.
No, you couldn't.
But, we do that to keep them so busy that they're not even thinking about cancer. They're thinking about what time's my zip line appointment? What time's my haircut?
And there's something for everyone. And like you said, it's fun on their time and on what they want to do. They can choose to participate in as much or as little, and there's something for everyone. If you
All
can't find
ages.
something to do at camp, well, I mean, for me, I could sit under a tree and read a book
And I'm
all
sure
day.
some choose to.
Some
Yeah.
choose.
I just don't want to be bothered by anybody,
Right.
anything. I just want to be with myself.
And that's perfectly fine.
Sure.
That's how they want to spend their weekend at camp.
And we
And they
tell
can
our
do that.
family hosts too, we're like, while we would love for them to be able to experience all the different activities that we offer, we also want them to be able to do what they need to do for themselves. And we offer, classes on self-care for the caregiver, because the fact of the matter is, if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't take care of someone else.
Right.
So we want to definitely stress the importance that they need to take care of themselves first, but then be there for their loved one who is struggling through cancer.
That's that, when the oxygen mask falls,
Exactly.
you first.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
'Cause
Yeah.
otherwise there's no help.
Yep.
Now back to reality. What's the greatest need that you guys have at this point?
Money.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, money.
In this area in Northern California, there's so many large companies. It's just a matter of getting that crack of the door to be open
Yeah.
for us to meet that person who makes the decisions where their philanthropic money is going.
Mhm.
And, I think more and more people, if they heard about our organization, again, like we said earlier, everyone knows someone who's going through cancer, and cancer is horrible.
Mhm.
Absolutely horrible, because it doesn't just affect the person who's sick. It affects the entire family. I've seen it in my girls, and I mean, we've dealt with issues that our girls have gone through because of this.
Mhm.
And it's horrible. So if we can get into the door of, the Googles of the world, the Apples of the world, and let them know what we're doing and why we're doing it, I think that we could get to the point where we do have our own facility and we do have our own camps multiple times throughout the year. And that'd be great. I mean,
Yeah.
And you do have affiliates in other markets that can piggyback off of what you're doing so that you
absolutely.
can service that many more
Oh, for
people
sure.
in the situation.
And we'd
Right.
be happy to share how we've done what we've done,
Yeah.
so more people can experience something like this.
Yeah,
You
you've
know,
got
we're not going to gatekeep anything
right.
by any means. I mean, if we could help people in every single state, how amazing would that be?
Right.
Right.
And there's certainly no lack of
Yeah.
opportunity for attendees.
No,
Oh,
no,
for
there is
sure.
not. There's not.
What's the best way to learn more about the organization? And John, I know there's a video from just this past September's
Right.
camp up on the website. Is that the best way to learn more? Is there an application on the website for if you're interested in participating in a camp?
The best way definitely is to watch that video, right? So you can
Yeah.
see really watch the magic as it unfolds for the weekend. But you can sign up for our newsletter, and we send out a newsletter quarterly, maybe a little bit more around December when we're trying to raise some money. And then in May, we participate in the big day of giving. But
Wonderful.
signing up for that newsletter will keep you informed as to when applications are available.
And
Oh,
So
what's the web address?
it is www.me-onefoundation.org. So
Okay.
MEONEFOUNDATION.org.
And I will put that in the show notes as well. So anybody that's looking on their mobile device, you can just scan down and touch it, and it'll take you right to the website.
Perfect.
That's awesome.
Giving cancer patients and their families and their caregivers and their extended families an opportunity to experience something in a stress-free environment is really a blessing for everybody. And I know the volunteers do get the benefit of what that is when they're giving. And that's a visceral experience. Thank you guys for recognizing a need that so often goes unaddressed. And that's everybody that's affected, not just the person experiencing the cancer. The benefit you're providing is immense to so many, and it allows them to get that strength and even in some cases hope. I'm sure not everybody is terminal within a short period of time. And as you said, you've got light shirts coming back as blue shirts,
Right.
which is got to be one of
Remarkable,
the
yeah.
neatest things to see.
I think one of the greatest transitions from one shirt to the next is my daughter. She, started at age 4 as a camper and went again to the first couple camps as a camper. And now she's the only individual that can say that they've been to every single one of our camps from beginning to end
Oh, wow.
because of a medical
Yeah.
situation that I experienced one year and had to be rushed to the hospital. But, she's the only one who's been there from beginning to end. And Haley has just been such a trooper. And she's now my camp director assistant. And, I want her to be at the point where she can run the camp if I'm unable to. I'll be there, I'm sure, but at least I hope. But as far
Well,
as
I will tell
running
you,
the
John,
camp,
at some point,
I won't be.
you will not be able to
Yeah,
run the
yeah.
camp. There will be a point when
there will
somebody's
be.
going to
Yeah.
have to take over the
I
responsibility.
do understand that, and I'm very grateful that she's fell in love with the camp as much as I have,
Yeah.
and she wants to fill Dad's shoes at some point, but hopefully not too soon.
Right. Well, there's the heir apparent,
Right?
which is
Mhm.
really neat to see as
Mhm.
well.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for allowing us to help share the story, and hopefully it will engage others who didn't know it existed. And I would imagine that you're sold out every year anyhow, as the camps come
For-
up, just by
We
word
are.
of mouth.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's just a matter of getting to that point where we can start the second camp. So that
Mhm.
way we
We
can do
could-
it every 6 months would be awesome. But yeah, we are sold out. And that's the hardest part is, we
Saying
put out
no.
the applications, But then at some point we have to say, sorry, we're
We're
full.
full. Yeah.
And those patients may not be able to wait until next year.
Yeah.
Right.
Which
Right.
is, that's the hardest part. In fact, we had one family, unfortunately, who the night before passed away.
Oh.
Yeah.
And their kids were so excited about coming to camp. And I could just imagine how destroyed, obviously, to lose their mom,
Mhm.
but then also not to be able to come to camp. And it's just, it breaks my heart.
Yeah.
I can
So,
appreciate that.
Yeah, it's horrible. But, that's unfortunately part of what comes with offering a camp for
That's
adult
right.
cancer patients, right?
That's right.
But to be able to see the joy on all the other families who were actually there, it was amazing.
Well, it is incredible, and thank you and the team and the volunteers and everybody that's engaged and everybody that donates to the organization.
Yeah, we would be nowhere without them.
Yeah,
Yep.
we so appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks for the time today, too, to be able to let people know about us.
It's absolutely our pleasure.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed the episode. If what you heard moved you, please reach out to that organization and do what you can to help. If you like and appreciate what we're doing to support local nonprofits, please give us a positive review, subscribe, and share. If you're a nonprofit with an interest in participating in an episode, you can reach me at jeff@hearmenowstudio.com. If you have a need for the services or products our sponsors offer, please reach out to them. Cap Trust, fiduciary advice for endowments and foundations, Runyon Saltzman Incorporated, RSE, marketing, advertising, and public relations creating integrated communications committed to improving lives, and Western Health Advantage, a full-service healthcare plan for individuals, employer groups, and families. The Nonprofit Podcast Network is a production of, is recorded at, and edited by Hear Me Now Studio.